Somewhere between the birth of reality television and the election of Donald J. Trump, I believe we entered a new era. A period of time. An age, if you will. Over the past year, I've been working on a theory to help me better understand signals of chaos and change in a cloud of noise. As a political practitioner and theorist, I know that the conclusions from the know-nothing pundit class keep ringing incomplete, even more than usual. Something broader seems to be happening. In politics, populism has energized both the left and the right. In theological circles, Calvinism is at an all-time historical high. Within the African American community, some blacks have adopted a HOTIP label. Bitcoin has exceeded simply fintech and is now pounding away at finance in general. And across the Middle East, youth are choosing between jihad and secularism with an ever-shrinking middle ground. There's a meme out there, more of internet slang really. Many of you have heard it. Based. Webster's dictionary defines base as, quote, have as a foundation for something, use as a point from which something can develop. The most popular entry on Urban Dictionary explains based as, quote, when you don't care what people think. It's a way of life. Doing what you want, how you want, wearing what you want. It's basically IDGAF with a purpose. I'd like to submit this definition for consideration. Based. A mindset and commitment to foundational truths or facts that are then used to pursue adjacent understandings. It's my observation that we're witnessing something happen at the species level. Globally, cross-industry, creed, gender, all of it. It suggests a constant outside of the petri dish that is mankind's experience. Is it God? A simulation? The hive mind? Something is out there. The based era, this age of rediscovery rooted in the second leg of the information age, will be defined by peeping pause, questioning assumptions, discovering lies laid for them, and reimagining the future. How did we get here? Put simply, we were lied to. The compounding lies of relativism, postmodernism, and the faux democratization of information that was promised to us by our thought leaders has come to bear on the system. The cult of expertise bubble is popping. This has been a ticking time bomb in the collective consciousness. Rebelling against nature and truth, if done in moderation, achieves a sweet spot that allows innovation, inspiration, and introspection. See, we must rebel against our primitive nature in order to be civilized. We too must be allowed to steer away from truth so that we might act as though we are free. However, what the Laffer curve is to the relationship between economic growth and government revenues, reason is to the relationship between man's nature and his adopted social norms, between truth and curiosity. There is a point of optimization, and beyond that, a suboptimal chilling effect. Consider these top lines for a moment. America's monthly published unemployment number doesn't include all unemployed persons. Black conservatives are ironically labeled Uncle Toms when Uncle Tom in the book was a Christ-like figure. The media and Hillary Clinton warned and mocked the idea that Donald Trump would dare contest the outcome of the election only to contest it themselves, still now, over a year later. Bitcoin is called a bubble, while the US dollar has lost over 75% of its purchasing power over these past 50 years. In fact, the inverse chart of the US dollar's purchasing power looks a lot like the growth chart of Bitcoin. Pissing on Christ is called art, whereas unfavorably mentioning Islam's Muhammad earns a fatwa. Feminism is falsely defined as the equality of the sexes, but requires a sex-specific root word and the abuse of the male sex. Science is declared absolute by relativists, with required memory lapses when they're fudging climate data or entirely wrong about the so-called God particle. Even then, we're told to ignore science when it comes to sex, sexuality, and economics. We're post-reason. Opposing sides have no shared facts. There are objective lies that are coming from institutions core to civilization survival: the church, media, the workplace, and government. There is evidence out there that there are based thinkers and fellow travelers re-examining their foundation and daring to be curious. Only in this period of time have we asked man to be both a skeptic while also building him a prison to punish his wrongthink. In politics, pundits believed nationalism and populism were sweeping the globe. It turns out they were symptoms of the based era, not the root. People fighting, doing what comes natural to them. It explains Brexit, Donald Trump, Venezuela, Catalonia, Iran, Crimea. It also explains the Justice Democrats, Antifa, right-leaning blue-collar populists, the modern-day Tea Party movement, and even Identity Europa. Groups are getting back to the basics. In finance, moral hazards like too big to fail, corporate bailouts, and quantitative easing have given people justifiable reasons to question just who is actually governing the system. Rules never seem to apply to those in power, and our wisers don't seem to get their power from merit. The system is naked and, well, fucked. This is the reason for the rise of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is decentralized, immutable, and difficult to confiscate. There's not only a desire, but a need for a currency, commodity, utility that cannot be corrupted by destabilizing fiscal or monetary policies contrived by our political and banking class, these bitter no-coiners. In art, more creators inside of music, fashion, and the visual mediums are favoring more control for less money. If Napster and torrenting were the revolution of the consumer, creators responded, not to consumers, but to the oligarchs at the labels and the studios with Tidal, at one time YouTube, and now self-publishing and privacy settings inside of the Brave browser, which allow for subscription-based models. We must observe that the based era is reactionary. It could not exist on its own. It's not an enlightenment in pursuit alone, but because of the current absence thereof. President Trump becomes a lot easier to explain when you consider Ross Perot, Pat Buchanan, Barack Obama, and the modern-day Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street movements, respectively. Now Pandora's box has been opened and on live television. Still, the competing force exists. Corporations can pillage our privacy and pocketbooks without it being anything beyond a 2-day news cycle. In Japan, more men are choosing digital girlfriends than actual female mates, and they're obviously not mating. Europe is shushing its no-go zones, raping ghettos, and has criminalized speech. In America, the media, which has been wrong about everything, resists reform, forcing them into a parallel reality not rooted in anything but the perception of popular opinion. Our oligarchs obsess over automation, AI, and algorithms. We're told that the future is full of sex robots, soy meals, fiat digital currency, and unavoidable spying. The based era runs contrary to the current leg of the information age because it actually fulfills some of those first hopes of the Age of Enlightenment, the Renaissance, and the original promise of the information age. Based men and women are the pioneers, the rebellion, the dissenters, the crazy ones, the rabble-rousers. Still, a rebirth of reason may not be before us. In my own talks, I've spoken at length about the crossroads we're approaching. I like Mike Cernovich's great fork concept, where consumers choose to make decisions increasingly along the lines of politics and their own values. Like weapons, one side has proliferated its use, while the other side is now responding in kind. At a higher level, above the Great Fork, the great crossroads for humanity exists, and it is fast approaching. Will we achieve something like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World with our sex robots, algorithm-controlled economies, and AI-determined social lives? Or will we strip ourselves bare, get to the base foundation, and tackle these thorough lies and tough truths? Will we renew social contracts, timeless institutions, and even physical buildings, recommitting ourselves to concepts that work and reimagine supposed third rails we've been told not to touch? The based era will give humanity a fighting chance, but this is only a chance. The based era could lack adoption and die off. It could be superseded by the competing dystopian depression that's resulting from this information age. Or it could fork into something ugly, where we turn into a reflection of our oppressors. There is a worst case scenario that's all too possible. Our central planners could be bad, and I believe they are. They could be corrupt, which there is evidence for. Masses could adopt these lies which threaten their health and safety, and the action of these planners could trigger a near extinction or mass genocide event resulting in the deaths of billions of people. This is the great crossroads humanity is faced with. We have an opportunity to go bravely into the future, tackling some foundational questions and aspirational quests. There has never been an age such as this. We can bottom out and bounce, or we can say damn the fundamentals and ride this bubble until it pops and devastates all of humanity. Based, a mindset and commitment to foundational truths or facts that are then used in the pursuit of greater understandings. You are not alone. Progress does not march one way. We are not fated to a damned future. We are fighting back. We can actualize victory and our sovereignty. Will you take this journey with me, fellow traveler, or will you remain on the road to serfdom?